Welcome, adventurers! So, yun, ito na naman to. Andito kami sa kwarto ni Glenn /studio. And so, this is one of our plans. Nagpaplano pa lang kami for ScrewLoose. Isa na to sa naiisip naming content. Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons! So, for starters, Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop RPG game na, so isipin nyo na lang Snake and Ladders, but instead of you have the board na para kayo magkakarera to the end. It's going to be a interactive, storytelling, collaborative with everyone. So hindi lang ako yung magsasabi ng kwento. I have meron tayong kwento, pero kasama ko sila sa kwento.
Here we go. You find yourselves face to face with two hulking ogres. What are you doing in our dungeon? You shall die.
Okay, literal goosebumps look.
So, konting history, back in the 70s, a guy named Gary Gygax has modified one tabletop game, which is it actually uses armies, so armies to fight over a board. Para siyang battleship. However, instead of ships, what they had were soldiers, foot soldiers, knights, and stuff, and archers. So inisip niya, kung nakagawa natin maglaro na with a lot of pieces, why not do something na isang character lang? May isang character ka, magsasabi akong kwento ko, pero lahat tayo magkakasama sa kwento. And doon nabuo yung Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a global phenomenon. Halos lahat, or napakaraming tao, even celebrities knows Dungeons and Dragons. We have Stephen Colbert.
Welcome to the nerd zone, my friend. You ever play Dungeons and Dragons when you were a kid?
Did I play Dungeons and Dragons? You played D&D?
Oh my God, I was obsessed.
I met Gary Gygax, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper played Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, for a long time.
What was your favorite character?
I had an elven character.
Of course you did. Elven or half
Deathstroke
elven?
himself. Pero I'm not sure kung si Deathstroke pa rin siya due to some shenanigans with Warner Brothers, but Joe Manganiello is a big uber nerd with Dungeons and Dragons.
No, I have too much to live for, and more important things to do. We have to level the playing field, Mr. Wilson. To put it plainly, shouldn't we have a league of our
And
own?
Vin Diesel.
Go for it.
Yes, Vin Diesel, no?
Quick trivia. Alam niyo yung character na ginawa ni Vin Diesel sa The Last Witch Hunter? It's actually his player character for Dungeons.
I am Colder the Witch Hunter.
Parang ano yan parang passion project yung nilalabasan ng movie
Kahit hindi ganun kaganda yung movie, but he lives a dream na portray niya yung character niya in real life or on screen. So which is really good. So for Dungeons and Dragons, hindi na ako masyadong technical neto, but there are already 5 versions of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the 5th edition is yun yung pinaka-popular, and yun yung mostly the basis for almost all of the rules. So yun din yung gagamitin natin once na we have our sessions. So we have some common misconception talaga when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. Magastos, or kailangan mo ng pera, kailangan mo ng oras. Actually, some of those are myths. For Dungeons and Dragons, hindi mo kailangan gumastos. Of a lot. Actually, some of these, if you are creative enough, Dungeons Master screen, dalawang folder lang, it's going to be your screen na. Your tiles, kahit anong karton dyan, lagyan mo lang ng grids. Pwede na yun. Yung miniatures mo, kahit picture lang, or barya, or tansan, that could be your miniatures na. Even pens and papers, back then, pens and papers lang talaga yung meron sila. So, yung really uber nerds with Dungeons and Dragons, when they comes on their session, meron silang makakapal na notebooks just for all the notes doon sa previous adventures nila.
Parang it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, di ba? Parang you can do with what you have, di ba?
Yeah, you could,
So for ano mga as a beginning Dungeons and Dragons players like us, ano ba meron tayo dito ngayon?
So, correction, hindi pa ako ganun I'm not that proficient in Dungeons and Dragons yet. Newbie lang ako. I only have at least 12 hours of playing experience, Roll20, in which kaya lang ako nag-Discord para lang makapag Dungeons and Dragons ako dahil
Wait, what is Roll20?
Roll20 is a third-party website in which pwede kayong mag-Dungeons and Dragons din. May built-in tool siya for you to create your map, to create your scenarios, and to create your characters. So, kung gusto mong may makasama from other countries or from other places that wala, or if comes to the worst, wala kang friends, that's the way that you could play Dungeons and Dragons. And for Dungeons and Dragons, kahit kaming dalawa lang ni Glenn, or kahit dalawa lang kami ni Riel, or kahit silang dalawa lang, they could play. At least, kailangan may isa lang Dungeon Master at isang player.
You have to have someone to play with, di ba? That's the importance of the game.
That's the importance of the game. And, of course, have fun. Yes, maraming rules on Dungeons and Dragons. If you see yung books, the player's handbook, which is at over 2,000 pesos pag bumili ka sa Fully Book. Shout out to Fully Book. But hindi kami sponsored. Sponsor us.
Fully Book, bump us up. Nakita nyo ba yung vlog namin dun sa free comic book day nyo? Yan, diba?
Yes. So, so for the things lang naman, pinaka-basic na kailangan lang natin is actually the dice. These are our dice. It's fully
show it to the camera.
Okay. So, these are our polyhedral dice.
Lapit mo nga sa camera.
Yan. So, for now, dahil hindi naman ako ganun kayaman, we only have 2 sets for the moment. But right now, there's an app. You can just search for it. There's a dice app that you could download for free. So, magkaroon lang kayo ng dice set. For dice set, mostly ito yung nagbibigay ng randomness on a Dungeons and Dragons game. And a set consists of several dices. So, the most common one na ginagamit is the D20. This is going to determine either the things that you're good, checks, attacks, is going to hit or miss.
How does dice 20 look like?
Okay, so a D20 has 20 sides.
Lapit ka nga sa camera.
Oh, ito siya.
Yan. So, it has 20
sides. 20 sides.
Okay.
So
kaya siya D20, diba?
D20. So, D is for dice, and 20 is kung ano yung maximum number niya. So, mostly, this thing is the one, it would, yung success, or yung success ng gagawin mo. Example, I wanna do stealth. Iikot ako. So, sabihin ni Dungeon Master mo, sige, do a stealth check. Stealth check, example, lumabas 16. And there is what we call a difficulty rating or a difficulty challenge, in which kung mas kunyari a stealth or yung stealth na gagawin mong action, ang difficulty niya is 15. So 15 yung difficulty nung gagawin mo and nakakuha ka ng 16, it means it's successful. It's successful stealth. So sasabihin ni Dungeon Master, okay, so dumaan ka sa gilid ng kwarto at hindi ka napansin ng kalaban.
Parang that will determine the
outcome nung kung anong gagawin mo.
Oh.
So, paano kung nangyari is, nakuha mo is 18 or less than the difficulty check. Yun, mag-fail ka or sinubok mong dumaan pero natapilok ka. Nakita ka ng kalaban. Yun. That will be an encounter or mababawasan ka ng hit points. There will be consequences. And yun, that's for the checks lang naman when we're doing the D20s. And for more technical stuff, we also have what we call an advantage and a disadvantage. So, if you are going to roll with advantage, dalawang dice, with advantage, kung ano yung mas malaki, yun yung magiging roll mo. For this instance, 3 and 4. So, gagamitin mo yung 4.
You have 2 dice eh. So, kung ano man yung dice na mag-roll na mas mataas yung number, yun yung magiging result.
Yes, that's what we call an advantage. For disadvantage, it's reverse. Dalawang dice.
Paano naman yung mas maliit?
Kung sino naman yung mas maliit, yun yung magiging roll mo. So, for a scenario, sabi ni Dungeon Master mo, the scenario is may sira yung tulay. Anong gagawin mo? Tatalon ako. Titingnan ko kung baka katalon ako. Pero mahangin. So, sabi ni Dungeon Master mo, mahangin. So, roll with disadvantage. 1. Which is, itong pinaka-ayaw mong makuha pag nag-roll ka ng D20. Because 1 is what we call a critical failure.
Critical failure.
Yes, critical failure.
Parang worst of the worst.
Worst of the worst. So, in a scenario na sinabi ko kanina, tatalon ako. Roll with disadvantage. May 1. Sabi ni Dungeon Master mo, tumalong ka, humangin na malakas, tinaboy ka. At nahulog ka sa ravine, natusok ka ng spikes.
Lahat na lang parang worst na pwede mangyari sa ginawa mo, nangyari na.
Nangyari na,
diba?
if
Parang,
you have a 1.
Parang tumalong ka lang, natapilok ka, dumugo ulo mo, nabagok ka, tapos may black hole pala, tapos may tremors pala doon. Diba lahat na?
Pero depende sa imagination ng Dungeon Master mo.
Diba parang ganun.
So, pero syempre, Dungeon Masters mostly are not assholes. I wish. Pero, yun. And also, one of the misconception, hindi po siya competition within the player and the Dungeon Master. It's collaborative storytelling lang talaga. For you to create a good experience and have fun with your friends and having a good time. Yan yung pinaka plethora on having Dungeons and Dragons or every session. Yun lang yung kailangan nyo ma-achieve every session nyo. So, a session, usually, a session could be as long as you wanted. Kung kaya nyo hanggang bukas, nag-session kayo for Dungeons and Dragons, why not? And, so, nasa D20 pa lang tayo, and I already provided with advanced stuff na already. So, let's move to other dices. So, next to the mostly the other dices like this, D10, or actually, it's a D100, kasi it's by tens. And
so, ilan ba yung klase ng dice niyan?
most likely, it's 6.
So, 6 dice.
So, D20.
We have 5 more.
D20, a D100,
4 more.
a D12, D12, D6.
So, in time, explain din namin yan one by one.
Yeah,
For now, i-heads up lang namin kayo ano yung gagawin namin for the upcoming contents with Dungeons and Dragons.
So, it's, consider it at the primer lang talaga. What are the basics or what should we have in mind or what should we have before even starting Dungeons and Dragons. This one is a D8. It's a D8. And the smallest one would be a D4. So, bakit kailangan ng ganito karaming dice? Kasi mostly, other from the D20s, which will determine your success, these ones are for damage. Every dice or every weapon has their dice set. Example, a spear mostly have a D10 damage. So ito yung gagamitin mo. If you're unarmed or kung wala ka ibang weapon, it's a D4. And yun, depende sa weapon mo kung ano yung damage mo. So, pero much more advanced stuff na yun. Pagdating sa combat, i-breakdown ko pa kung paano gumagana yung dices on your combats and your ability checks and whatnot. Dahil depende rin sa strength mo, depende sa dexterity mo, kung ano yung magiging atake mo or yung pinaka-final damage mo. So, abangan nyo yun soon. So, other from that, yun, dice. Actually, ang pinakagagastos ka lang talaga is the dice for the set. Pero I already told you guys that there's an app for it. Actually, everything has an app for it. So, the other thing, which is kind of optional lang naman, is if you wanted to have a dungeon master screen. If you wanted to be a dungeon master, it's a dungeon master screen. A dungeon master screen is going to be yung screen for your dungeons masters eyes only. Andito lahat or andito mostly yung notes niya. or in this case, ako, dahil ako yung magiging Dungeon Master for our D&D content. So, these are mostly my notes.
Parang manual siya.
It's my manual, so kung kailangan ko ng mabilisang information, instead of me looking at the internet or looking at the book, which is sobrang kapal niya, I have my quick guides.
Kumbaga ito na yung summary version.
You can
Kumbaga ito na yung encyclopedia.
Ito na yung encyclopedia.
Pagiging Dungeon Master.
Yan. So, and one rule for Dungeon Masters, everything beyond the screen is for his eyes only. Kung ikaw ang Dungeon Master, hindi mo pwedeng pakita kung ano na dito. But it's your choice. Kasi there are Dungeon Masters na, of course, the monsters are going to be controlled by them. So, there are Dungeon Masters na itatagol na yung role nila. Sasabihin na lang, matake ako. Ito, successful ako. But, hindi naman successful yung role niya.
Parang you will count on integrity na lang.
You will count on integrity na lang on your Dungeon Masters. But, hindi ko sinasabing lahat ng Dungeon Masters doing this, but there are some. Especially, yung mga competitive ones na there are some na gusto nila, it's their story. Kung ayaw nila sa player, they are going to do their best to fudge that player hanggang sa umayaw yung player. But I don't want that to happen on my table. Kahit part mo talaga, it's on my table. So, yun. So, salita na ako ng salita. So, yeah, the Dungeon Master screen is an essential tool. Pero, of course, binili ko to fully booked. Hashtag, sponsor us. Hindi, joke lang. Okay, so, we are already done with the dice and the Dungeon Master screen. The other one that kailangan din on every session is going to be, or not necessarily, it's optional, is an adventure grid. Adventure grid is actually mostly gagamitin mo lang siya for encounters. Dahil tatlo ang main ang lagi nangyayari sa isang session. Narrative, interaction, combat, and navigation or travel. So, for combat, ito yung pinakamadalas natin gamitin. Adventure grid or a grid, battle grid. So,
parang ang laki niyang chessboard no?
Parang siyang isang malaking chessboard in which, on this case, ito yung gagamitin for combat encounters.
Guys.
It has...
Games, paano naman pag ayaw nila pumili na ito? Ano ba pwede nilang gawin?
Okay. Linoleum na may grid. Anything na may grid.
Graphic
paper.
Di ba yung malaki?
Or kung tinatamad kayo, karton.
But once again guys, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
Yes. Pwede siya gawin improvise.
Diba may mention nga siya kanina, you can play Roll20. Yun yung online community na pwede kang maglaro ng Dungeons and Dragons.
We could include the link below kung gusto nyo subukan si Roll20. It's free. Totally free yung paggamit ng tools doon. Pero there are some modules and then some of the books. Yun lang naman yung pwede mong bilhin, may bayad doon. And some of the access or special access on the tools. Pero yung basic function ng tools, pwede mong gawin yun on free. Pwede kang mag-save doon kung gusto mong maglagay ng notes, kung mag-homebrew ka. Homebrew, isa sa pinakamadalas na gamitin yun. Homebrew is tawag if you are not going to use a module from Wizards or an adventure module for your campaigns. Parang, ano lang yan, an adventure module is parang yung official game, parang sa pag naglaro ka ng video games, that's the official game. And a homebrew is your mod.
It's your own creation.
It's on your creation.
Mod as in modification ng laro.
So, pero that's the fun of Dungeons and Dragons. You could just buy the books kung tamad ka na mag-isip ng scenarios mo, or be creative, or just
it's your own adventure and experience naman, diba?
So, yun. So, most likely, i-explain ko rin to once we go on the combat, pero most like every tile usually will have a scale. For example, ito yung pinakamadalas gamitin, every tile is 5 meters.
5, like this?
Yep. So, if your attack, or kung a-atake ka, a range attack of 15 meters, so from your position, 3 tiles.
3 tiles.
Okay, so most likely ganun po siya gumagana lagi. May scaling ka on your grid. Then depende 'yun sa lugar ng
So,
and your area effectivity pag
That's
nag-spell
how
ka.
you measure the ranges of the attack.
Pero pwede ba nilang baguhin yun? Depende sa kanila.
Yes, depende sa kung ano yung scale na kailangan nyo. Kung yung isang tile nyo, 10 meters na. Or yung isang tile nyo, kung gusto nyo gamitin tong grid for your travels, for navigation, kunyari ito na yung pinaka-terrain nyo, you could also use this. Just be creative on this, on using your Dungeons and Dragons.
Be creative and be resourceful din.
Okay. So, yun, tapos na po tayo sa Dungeon Masters, sa ating adventure grid. And ang next natin, hindi naman siyang pinakakailangan, but for your convenience is modules, especially yung books. Ilalagyan naman sila. The books, yung official player handbook, that has 300 plus pages na puro basic rules lang. Basic rules, classes, races, pinaka-basic. You could find it on your local bookstore, or kung siniswerte kayo, your local library might have it, but I doubt it. And also, kung ayaw nyo talagang sinabi ko na, hindi nyo kailangan gumastos for Dungeons and Dragons. There are files, or there are printable files na pwede nyo kunin online, in which some of it ginawa ko. I have several, kasi yun, of course, wala akong pambili ng adventure guide at wala rin akong paglalagyan if sakaling bumili man ako dahil maliit lang yung kwarto ko. So, scour the internet. D&D content on the internet is endless. You can find modules, adventure guides, and yan, pinaka-guides. On this one, I have one for the races, all the available races for 5th edition.
Pakita nga natin sa camera.
Races.
Racist?
Races.
Okay.
Races. So that's your humans, goblins, elves, and etc. And yun, gumawa rin ako ng one for backgrounds because just to brush on it, on character creation, other from the race of your character, which will provide you bonuses on your stats, you also need a background. Parang example, you are a human and have a background as an acolyte, which will provide you additional intelligence. So so it will make you a better spellcaster job, like a sorcerer, a druid, or a cleric. So there are several backgrounds. Pwede kang gumawa ng sarili mong background.
There are bonuses.
Yeah, nakakasama ng race.
So
And
aside dito, you can customize it.
it's very customizable. Hindi mo you cannot limit yourself on what is on the guides. You could just do your own. And of course, you also have bonuses for class. You know your classes naman, your regular fighters, archers, rangers, bards. Pero on those classes, separate episode. So watch out on that. We'll have a blast on there.
Future contents, guys.
Yun. So most likely, yun lang naman ang kailangan nyo eh. And yung character creation screen, character creation sheet, which is printable on the website of WizKids or Wizards. For those who don't know, Wizards also do Magic the Gathering, and they also doing the official merchandise for Dungeons and Dragons. So if sakali lang na you have the money to mag-ipon na lang kayo, buy official stuff.
Support the community rin, di ba?
So, for a character creation sheet, which is kailangan din on your session, dito mo ilalagay information mo on your character. Yan! So we will have a much more in-depth look on the character creation sheet once we do character creation. Okay? Foreshadowing. So basically ito lang naman yung pinakakailangan natin before even beginning a session with Dungeons and Dragons. And for the basics lang naman, there's a lot to decimate. Oh my god, so dark. So ang dami na pwede pa nating ituro sa inyo. I'm not that proficient myself, so it's also a learning experience for me. So in the future, magkakaroon kami ng session dito And we will also do character creation. So on that episode, magka-character creation lang kami. And yeah, there's a lot of content that we could do for this. So if you want to see more of that, just place a like on this video. Share nyo na rin sa mga friends nyo. And comment din kung ano yung gusto nyo pang makita in the future. So for now, ito na muna tayo. And we'll see you on the next adventure. Woo!